What's up, friends? Okay, I have a pop quiz for you. I know you probably weren't expecting it right off the bat, but I just want to dive in. Do you get enough protein? And if you don't know the answer to this question, let this question be a prompt that maybe it would be a good idea to look into it and find out if you are getting enough protein. And the reason I bring this up is because, our culture is so quick to give us all these new and sparkly and like real sexy tips on how to make our health better. But when we look at what I call my top 4 nutrition non-negotiables, getting adequate protein is one of the very first steps in making sure we have a diet that's going to adequately fuel our body. And most of us don't do it. I'll tell you right now, I did not eat enough protein until I started paying attention, until I started learning where it comes from in my diet and how I can get enough. And this is super important on 2 parts. Number 1, I'm a woman, and we women just don't turn on the muscle repair process like men do. I mean, it's evident in the way our bodies are shaped. That being said, when we pull in adequate protein to our diet, it can completely change how we experience strength in our body. So I'm a huge fan of it as a female, as a girly girl. And number 2, and this is applicable to every single human being, we're getting older. And as we get older, turning on that muscle repair process is something that becomes more challenging, and we need more protein in order to do it. And so today, what I want to do is dive deep into protein powder supplements, because the truth is getting enough and adequate protein on a regular basis as a busy working woman juggling all the things, it's really challenging. And I think protein powder is a great tool to help us get there. But I wanted you guys to better understand it. So I actually invited Darcy back on the show. He was back on in the fall, where he talked a little bit about his story and how he went from the pharmaceutical world into protein powder production. He's got a great story. If you guys want to tune into that, I'll link the show in the show notes. But as for today, I've asked him to come back on and talk specifically about some of the biomechanics behind protein powder production. What do we need to look for purity? What does it mean when it says whey isolate, whey concentrate, whey protein blends? What do all these things mean? No one better to ask than Darcy Higgins. Guys, he is CEO of Grupo Nutrition and Polar Joe, which are 2 credible, delicious supplement companies offering high quality products. Grupo Nutrition is a sports drink company that targets athletes specifically. And then more recently, he launched Polar Joe to expand his fuel-forward philosophy beyond athletes. I personally am a big fan of his products. I have a serving of Polar Joe almost once a day. In fact, I'm literally drinking one right now. It's one next to one of my 4 cups. No joke. Is anyone else like this? It's like I only sat down for an hour to record and put this episode up for you guys, and I have my cold brew protein powder. I have my actual cup of coffee, which is like 3/4 the way gone. I have a giant water bottle and then a Zevia, because apparently it takes all 4 of these drinks to record a podcast for you. You guys are in for a real treat today. I can't wait to introduce you guys to Darcy again so we can pick his brain about how protein powders are produced and tips on how we can choose high quality protein powders and understand some of the lingo on those labels. Welcome to the Fuel Her Awesome Show, friend, where we dig into nutrition deets that are actually helpful and we learn to be nicer to ourselves. I mean, think about it. Those things you say about your body, would you ever say them to your friend? I don't think so. I am so glad you are here. I'm Jess, registered dietitian, juggling mama, work, and wife life amidst all the things. I used to spend an insane amount of energy hating on my body and lost in nutrition, but now I have way too much on my plate. I cannot afford to mistreat my body. And because I have a history of struggling with food, I know I have to be careful with how I approach my health goals. This is why I'm so passionate about empowered eating. Sister, in case you haven't heard it today, you are awesome. And I have resources for you beyond this podcast. Check out jessbrownrd.com and take my body confidence workshop totally free. All right, grab a cup of coffee or 2 and let's fuel your awesome with empowered eating. Well, hey, Darcy, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for coming on again.
Thanks, Jess. Good to be here.
Now, you're up in Canada, and I think of Canada and I think of freezing. Is that true?
Not so much. I'm in Windsor. We're southernmost part of Canada. So we're kind of equal or on the same plane as Northern California. And today it's 44 degrees Fahrenheit. I just had to convert that to get into your world. So yeah, it's not too bad.
Oh, well, that's not as bad as I thought. I was envisioning like you on your bike in a like Eskimo jacket,
I try to get outside. Honestly, I think, I love to cycle, and I do a lot of cycling indoors. on a Zwift environment, and I don't know if folks will know what that is,
I
but
was gonna say, what is that? Zwift?
basically my bike goes onto a trainer that communicates
Oh yeah.
with a whole system, maybe Peloton. It's like an advanced Peloton, if you will, but it's a whole world, online world, which is makes cycling, doable. We've got groups. I've got a group challenge going on right now. There's 150 of us. We're all going across Canada virtually.
Oh, how
And
cool.
yeah, it's super fun. But yeah, we can all interact. Like we can ride together, see each other on the screen, all of that. So it's lots of fun.
So how far across Canada are you right now? That's so cool.
I'm 630 kilometers. And
Out of
sorry, I'm
how
not going to
many?
convert that.
Yeah, no worries.
The whole trip, the route that we've created is 12,500
Oh,
kilometers. So we're just getting started. And for many of the riders, this will be maybe the biggest year they've ever had from a volume standpoint. So
huh.
both their inside miles and their outside miles are all captured in Strava. Maybe you've used Strava before. No, Strava is a really cool app, can track any movement outside. So walking, running, hiking, and I find it really motivational to see, how far I've gone, or accumulated. It shows progress. So
That's
that's what
cool.
we're doing, and we have this huge map in my office that we installed to track this. Just for interest, I'll send it to you
Oh,
after
that's
we're
cool.
done. It's
Yeah,
super cool.
I mean, that sounds really in alignment too with your personality, which is going to show today because we're going to talk really about the scientific side of whey protein. But I can just see like how you've taken that number and like progress side and turned it into something fun and pulled it into
Yeah.
something you enjoy. That's cool. Now, I want to dive right in, but we're going to talk about um, the stuff behind supplement production. And I'm excited to pick your brain about it. But before we even dive into that, I'm really curious, like what even drew you to this industry?
Um, well, I graduated with a microbiology degree many moons ago, and I got into um, pharmaceutical company. I worked on the bench and then progressed into operations. I got asked to go into operations, and as soon as I got into operations, making things, leading people to make things, it's where I love to be. And that went on to where I did some research and development and some other roles within the pharma industry. So I was super experienced at making all different dosage forms, which included powders like we do today. And then it's really through my athletics that I was drawn to what I do today. I did a bunch of Ironmans, and partway through my Ironmans, I found that my nutrition wasn't quite where it needed to be. It was a limiter in my performance. So I sought out a better product. That product eventually, I brought that brand to Canada, opened a business. Back then it was called Infinite Nutrition Canada. And yeah, I mean, I had the background, the knowledge, of GMPs and all of the things that you have to do to safely make products like these. I had that knowledge. I didn't have the knowledge to run a business, but we kind of built the bus as we went. And yeah, I just wanted to provide, good nutrition products, that make sense, and felt like I was well positioned to do it. And I really romanticized about making my livelihood in a world that I love to be in. So being
That's
around
awesome.
sport and healthy living, that was kind of the dream way back in 2006, and I'm so happy that it's manifested and it's a reality today, with Grupo Nutrition and Polar Joe, which I think we'll do most of our talking today.
That is so cool. Yeah, you've really turned that dream into a reality and you produce these products that really serve a specific need. Now, we're going to talk about specifically Polar Joe today, which is your cold brew protein. And I've talked about this lots on the show. I'm a huge fan. I have at least one scoop a day or two scoops to get my 21 grams from it. But for those that are, newer to protein products, And I notice this actually in a lot of the clients I work with. I'll recommend a protein product and there's a little bit of like a resistance to
For
it.
sure.
And I think it's just because we don't really understand. So I'd love to hear your take on the process behind protein powder production.
Okay. Um, well, maybe I'll start here. There's all different types of protein powders. They all ultimately, like animal-based, dairy-based proteins, all come from the same cow's milk. And it's really how it's isolated or processed to get to its final powdered form. There's a whey isolate, which is going to be 90% pure or higher. And if I'm recommending to someone that they're going to use a dairy-based protein, it's always going to be a really high quality whey isolate. The next standard is a whey concentrate, and by definition, it needs to be 80 to 90% pure on a dried basis. And if you think about that for a minute, so it can be 20% something else.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's 20% of something that I don't want. I want protein in my protein powder. So I always reach and recommend a whey isolate and a very high-end whey isolate. And then below whey concentrate, you'll find just a whey protein. So by definition, it's less than 80%. So if we're in the whey category, how whey proteins are manufactured, and I've been fortunate enough to go to New Zealand and go to the very farms and the very processing plants where this milk is converted into the end raw material that we use, the protein. So often your protein company, a whey protein plant, will be right beside a cheese manufacturing plant. And that may sound funny, but back in the day, the byproduct from making cheese is whey, and that was just something they had to deal with. Sometimes it would go into feed, for large animals. But in time, they realized, hey, this is a really hot commodity. This is the whey portion. If we were to isolate it, could be a very good source of protein. So you'll always see these two plants beside one another, cheese, and then the byproduct of that cheese goes to the whey processing plant, and that's where it's processed. So when they take the whey, we work with a company called Fonterra, and we use their very highest quality protein, and I'll never vary from that. And maybe you can ask me later if you wish why that is. But they take that whey, and then it goes through two major steps. One is called ultrafiltration. I'll try not to get too sciencey, but ultrafiltration will separate the whey protein from everything else at a molecular level. So far smaller than we could ever see. It's even smaller than microfiltration. It's ultrafiltration, which is kind of the gold standard. In addition to their proprietary ultrafiltration that they use to isolate their protein, they're also using something called ion exchange, and then that further results in an isolation of that whey isolate, and then you've got your really high quality whey isolate. And I find that the more pure you are, like our protein raw material comes in at 93.9%.
It's amazing.
And there's nothing higher than that. And why that's so important is it allows products like our Polar Joe to taste the way it does. So you don't have that off note from the protein. From a taste perspective, it's great. From a nutritional standpoint, if you looked under the hood at, well, what's the purity, and in particular, what's the leucine content, it's very, very high. It's at 14.3% leucine. And leucine is the key amino acid that drives the muscle, repair, muscle building. So you want it to be there. And then the last thing, it's extremely low in lactose. If we're selling into the US, I would be able to make a claim on our label that it's lactose free. It's so low.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah. So we have many people come to us and say, And I think this gets back to your question, why people kind of maybe cringe when they hear about a whey protein. They're maybe thinking of another protein that they've had at one point in time, and they got bloating and GI upset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you're using a really good quality protein, that goes away. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll often twist someone's arm. If they say, "Well, I'm lactose intolerant," I'm like, try it. If it's not for you, we'll give you your money back.
Mm-hmm.
We're really confident that you won't have GI upset. I think I'm mainly a plant guy, but I do rely on our dairy protein, our whey isolate, and I
Mm-hmm.
take 2 servings a day, and I never have any GI upset. It's very well tolerated.
Yeah, that's incredible. And just to hit on that leucine piece again, because we know what that means, but for those that are listening that may have not heard that before, I want to repeat what you said, that leucine is one of those key amino acids that turns on the protein synthesis process. And then it
Exactly.
gets more important as we get older. So I always say, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like I used to turn on that protein synthesis process awesome when I was 18, but now,
Yes.
20s, 30s, into 40s and 50s, we start to slow down. So we need more of that concentrated leucine, and whey is the best place to get that, which is why I am a big fan of whey
Yeah.
protein powders. I want to highlight something else you said, because I think a lot of times one of the arguments against whey that I've heard is like, oh, but we're not actually using the food that is like, where are we getting this whey from and what's happening to the milk? And it's actually, I love that origin story of how we actually found that it's this byproduct of cheese production that we were wasting. And we
Yeah.
found an incredible use for it. Did you ever hear that song, Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet eating her curds
Uh-huh.
and whey? Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden that had meaning. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
now I understand, like, it's separated, and we actually learned how to make something really powerful with that
Yes.
extra product.
Often I cringe when I call this a supplement, but it's really coming from the same bucket of milk. And when you have your two manufacturing sites beside one another, it can't be more clearly evidenced than that. So to me, it's a really isolated food. So
I know that I think that's a really valid point. Now, talk to me a little bit more of the purity of product. So when someone is looking for a whey protein powder, can you
yes.
let us know 2 or 3 things they should be looking for to get this high quality whey that you're talking about?
So there's some labeling. The labeling practices here in North America, whether it's Canada or the US, you have to disclose what raw materials are going in there. And you'll see some companies, they'll list a proprietary blend or a whey protein blend. And then in parentheses, you'll see that they'll have a whey concentrate, whey isolate, and maybe something else in there, whey peptides. We think that you should pick a single whey isolate. There's no need to have whey concentrate. So when you have whey concentrate, you're getting more of the stuff that you don't want. If you want just pure protein, you need just whey isolate.
So
And
why would companies put whey concentrate in a blend like that? Is
it's
it a
just cost.
it's a filler?
Well, it's not so much a filler. It's just it's a lower quality. Maybe quality is the wrong term. It's a lower purity protein, so it doesn't cost as much. Our protein, this is in Canadian dollars, is like, people would never believe this, but it's $32 a kilo of our raw protein that we put in our
Wow.
products.
Wow.
So for our company, it actually prevents us from using a distributor or being involved in bigger box stores, because they all want to run with the distributor. Distributor gets some money for
Mm,
their piece in it. The retailer needs to make, and then at the end of the day, the price of the product has to be too high in order for everybody to make money. And
mhm,
obviously,
mhm,
we need to make a little bit of money. We believe that we should just put it into the product. So
mhm.
we're going to use the very best raw materials, and then we'll find a way through e-commerce. If we sell direct, that's one way. We also work with gyms and fitness facilities, and we have a model where we're selling directly to the reseller. And then that allows us to do what we need to do. It allows the product to be sold at a price that's fair and competitive. But if you're buying our product, you're getting a much higher quality, protein.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're refusing to compromise some of your ethics around how you view whey protein powder needs to be provided, but
Yeah,
it kind
and
of puts a stop on it. Yeah.
yeah, and when this happened for me is I was talking to the Canadian Sport Institute, a bunch of sport dietitians, nutritionists, physiologists, and one physiologist, he used to work for Power Bar back a long time ago, and maybe for the last 15 years, he's been with CSI. He found out the protein we were using, R895, and he was so impressed. Like he knew the world inside out, and he was so impressed. And he says, I can't believe you're using it. That's awesome. And he told us all the specs. And when I heard that from him, he knew that that was the best for, the high volume athletes that, are competing on the world stage. I was like, well, I can't vary from that. Like if it's
Yeah.
good for a high performance athlete, why should it be any different than an everyday person that just wants to live in a healthy manner? So it closes some doors for us, to be honest. We get compared to, maybe the price of some products that maybe at a big box store or Walmart or Costco or something. And we sell a different product than they do. That's all.
Well, and I can taste it. Your protein has no chalky flavor. It mixes very smooth. There's no GI upset. I mean, you can definitely tell the quality is different. So to go back to that question of how can people find whey protein powders with high quality, it sounds like first things first, they've got to see on the ingredient label that it says whey protein isolate and
Yeah.
no other
And
blends.
And if it's just a protein powder, the carbohydrate level and
Okay.
sugar level should be next to nothing. If you see that creeping up, that's going to be lactose. And then, the lactose is something that is not, that's going to cause some issue with taste. And it will also affect GI afterwards. The other thing is if a company is using lactase, so many companies will actually add an enzyme to their protein, and they have it as a selling feature because it will easily break down. Well, I'm of the opinion if you don't put lactose in, then you don't need to add something to break the lactose down.
Yeah.
And then the only other watch out is if you're buying a sweetened protein, make certain it's naturally sweet. So 0 calorie, like in the form of stevia, is a much better alternative than sucralose or aspartame. And if you're using a sugar, we use organic coconut sugar in the Polar Joe. It's a little bit lower on the GI, index, which is helpful, and it gives it a unique flavor as well. So that's why we do that.
That's awesome. Okay, so look for the whey protein isolate. It sounds like continue to check the ingredient level
Yeah.
or ingredient list and make sure it is giving you know what you're getting from it.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see on a label the actual amino acid levels. We don't do that for Polar Joe. This is a general population product and could do that. Maybe we will in the future. We do it on the other side of the business. We report out on what 20 grams of protein would have from a leucine content, and that would be like 2.9 grams. And if you can see the leucine content, the higher the better. The leucine trigger, that's a more complex term. That's what initiates muscle protein synthesis. Most scientists will say that occurs with 2.5 grams of leucine as a minimum, and the higher the better. So if you can get something over 2.5, that's going to initiate protein synthesis, muscle protein synthesis, which is what we're trying to do with the protein.
That's what we're after. I like it. Now, you mentioned this earlier, Darcy. You had said you kind of cringe when you call it a supplement. Tell me more about why you don't like to refer to protein powders as supplements.
Well, I think it just gets lumped in with a big group of products, and I think that there's a lot of supplements that are really not necessary. You should be getting the nutrients from real food, and I'm a real food first guy, and I think that if we eat well, we can get almost all of the nutrients that we need from our real food. I told you I'm plant-based, so I take B12, daily because I'm not getting a lot of B12 from the foods I eat. I eat a lot of plants. Vitamin D up here in Canada is something I take. That's a supplement. We don't have enough sunlight, especially in the winter, months. And there's a few other supplements that I think are actually really make sense: creatine, omega-3, and then with protein. I would rather someone, even though my business wouldn't be as strong as it is, I would rather that people get all of their protein from real food. But sometimes in our busy schedules, it's just not possible. So if I'm targeting, I'm an aged individual as far as the definition goes. I'm 55 and I need 1.6 grams of, protein per kilo of body weight. So for my 180-pound frame, 80-kilo frame, I'm about 130 a day for
Mm-hmm.
grams of protein. And in order for me to get that in with my busy schedule, I find it hard not to add it through a product like Polar Joe or just a straight protein. So I use it as a little bit of a bridge to get to my numbers of 130. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very complementary, and it ensures that my muscle health is going to be where I need it to be, for the volume of work that I do, like the cycling, and my age. You talked about, it takes a little bit more protein to turn that switch. That's where I need to be, is
Mm-hmm.
1.6. So I find it difficult to get it all from real food, that full 130. So usually I get about 40 grams from some of the products that we do a day.
Yeah, it's a great addition. And the way I think of whey protein is kind of like just a product of how modern science has progressed us as human beings and allowed us more resources. It's like, even take a clock, for example. It's like, could we go through the day without a clock? And would that be nice to, go through the day based on what the sun's telling us to? Yeah, it'd be awesome, but that's not the world we live in. Like, we need
Yeah.
something to help get us where we need to be. And I think whey protein is the same. It's like, yeah. And for my targets, I actually eat a little bit higher just because I'm a weightlifter and have
Yeah.
some goals there. So my target's more like 1.8 to 2 grams per kilo.
Yeah.
And for me to get there is super hard if I don't have, especially like trying to get quality doses of protein. Cause that's the
Yeah.
other thing is, to get that 2.5 grams of leucine and trigger that process, you have to get closer to like 20 grams of protein. And that's hard to get in a snack when you're in your car on my way to pick up my kids, but if I get it from a protein powder, it's very doable.
Yeah. And then you touch on an interesting point. I think that I work with Dr. Stu Phillips. He's a
Mm-hmm.
guru in the space, and he once told me that when they've studied people that had a continual low dose of protein throughout the day, so I could take my 130 as a drip and get it
Mm-hmm.
a little bit all day, versus 4 pulses of a larger amount of protein. The 4 pulses will always result in better muscle health, more lean muscle mass than if you just took it steady. Because when you take it steady, it doesn't initiate that trigger. So you actually don't turn the muscle protein synthesis process on. So
That's so
it's
interesting.
our grandmother said, never skip breakfast, get, 3 square meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 to 4 meals a day, or doses of protein is ideal to help you get to your, overall target of, whatever that 1.6 or 1.8 is that you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for.
Now, I want to wrap up with one final question, Darcy, and this is just something I'm curious about. Do you have a favorite fun fact about protein or the process of creating protein powder that most people wouldn't know?
I think the fun fact, it just relates to, the raw material that we were fortunate enough to find. So when we started using protein, in our products, we just sourced it. It was what was available, and we were
Mm-hmm.
very fortunate that 895 fell in our lap. Not a lot of companies use it. It's a very high end and
Mm-hmm.
expensive product. But the fun fact is you can mix that with just about anything, and it takes on the flavor of
Oh,
what it's being added to.
like
So
that's awesome.
we do a vanilla protein that's just the protein, stevia, and the actual protein, and we we add that to orange juice. Like one of our customers told us about this, and I don't know if you've had a creamsicle um,
Mm-hmm.
in the summertime. It tastes like a creamsicle.
That's
It's
awesome.
unbelievable. Just adding that protein, vanilla protein, to orange juice, just normal, real orange juice. It tastes amazing. We've done some work with some hospitals in our local area. We've been in their kitchen, and we've had folks that are on high protein diets, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll take something that's really enjoyable to a patient, that they can tolerate, like a chocolate pudding,
Mm-hmm.
put 10 grams of protein in that, mix it up. They don't know it's there. And now we've just balanced that protein out. So, the macros out for it. So the fun fact is really that, when you're using something, of good quality, I think you can really experiment, and
awesome.
balance some of the foods out that that we eat, that we really enjoy, and that's really how I probably told the story before of how our cold brew was created. It was just created at home. I'm a coffee guy, and we mix those things together, and it tasted amazing. It doesn't feel like I'm not having a coffee. It feels like I'm having a really good cup of coffee.
That's awesome. Well, you surely are helping people. I know you've helped me, you've helped a lot of the clients I work with, and I'm super grateful for what you're doing, Darcy. For anyone that's interested in getting Polar Joe, where can they find it?
Online, polarjoe.com is the way that you can go on there. Simple order process. We ship it out daily.
That's great. And you guys have been so great. You're offering all listeners a discount. If they enter Fuel Her Awesome at checkout, they get a discount. Well, thank you so much for coming again. I'm actually going to go make my protein shake right now. It's that time.
Cool.
Well, I hope you have a great day, Darcy, and thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk again. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Gosh, I'm so glad you joined me today. If today encouraged you, would you take a minute and encourage me by leaving a review for the show? I read every single one of these reviews, and your words, they mean so much to me. This podcast is here to support you weekly, but it only scratches the surface. For more info on how you can become an empowered eater, grab my free workshop on how to become confident in your body without obsessing over food at jessbrownrd.com. Don't forget to join me right here next Monday, where I cannot wait to fuel your awesome. Cheers, my sweet friend, and happy eating.